Welcome back
to the Not So Perfect podcast. Matt Chinn here with
Gerardo Cornejo and with our impromptu Mets.
Yes.
You guys can't see the behind the scenes, but
a lot of stuff
Matt
going
works
on
very
back
hard
here.
on our production set.
A lot of stuff going on in the production set.
Welcome back. We had a great topic, great conversation last week.
Yep. I don't know if it, hopefully it resonated with people. I know it's just something that's been weighing heavy on me the last, seems like every day just weighs a little bit more.
Yeah.
So need to get some of that off my chest, and hopefully some of you guys listening last week resonated with it.
Yeah, and protect what's important, protect what matters was what we ended up titling it. And if you didn't see it, it's right there on our YouTube. It's a must-watch video because Matt was at his best. We got all of Matt that podcast.
I don't know if we call that the best or not.
He was fired up.
It was something. There was passion
and it's what helps us, and it's what kind of leads into today's. It's you're not alone. I'm having those thoughts. You might be having those thoughts. I mean, our thoughts might not be the same, but
yeah. Well, I mean, just that topic alone came up in my interview yesterday.
Okay.
You know, so we did our interviews for the Mental Health Foundation Champions Award banquet. Pre-recorded those for the event in May.
Which yours looking at a champion.
Yep, mental health champion.
So real quick, Missouri Mental Health Foundation.
Missouri Mental Health Foundation. Shout out Katie Andrews organizing all this. Did a great job yesterday with the interviews.
And you were a candidate 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was a nominee 2 years ago. I didn't win, and then I was nominated again this past year, and I was voted on as a champion. So very honored.
The champion, because they have three champions.
Yeah, so I'm the substance abuse. So someone that's succumbed to it and overcame it.
Overcame.
Yes. So, but yeah, that was one of the questions she was talking to me about yesterday, and she asked what is one of the biggest things. Trying to think what the exact wording was, but more or less it was, what's one of the biggest things that you could talk to someone that's struggling right now with substance, whether it be drugs or alcohol or whatever it might be. What would be your biggest suggestion to them in terms of, taking that next step? And I said, well, for me personally, and this is all coming from my experience, what I've been through and what I've overcame and what's led me to where I'm at today. And this is coming from more of a male standpoint. I can't really speak to the female aspect of it. You'd have to talk to someone that's female going through that. But for me as a male, it is almost what seems counterintuitive in terms of how I was raised. And mainly that is asking for help was the hardest thing and the best thing I've ever had to do. Because I was way too stubborn for a lot of years, and all that did was get me further and further in the hole. Deeper and deeper in financial troubles. Also, it just led to more and more debauchery with my drinking. So the more and longer I went without asking for help, the worse things got. And as soon as I kind of swallowed my pride and started asking for help in areas that I needed the help, good things started happening. So that's my message. If you're out there struggling as a male and you think, if you're not sure why you have these issues, what's wrong with you, why are your friends okay to go out and drink and you can't? These are all the questions that I had all throughout my drinking career. So asking for help when you need help in something that you're not an expert on, or you need areas of expertise, reach out and ask for help for people more knowledgeable in that area.
And don't let the cost of anything stop you from asking for help, because there's so many options. There's free options.
Oh yeah.
What was the hotline? Or there was a
so there's like the suicide hotline's 988. But there
was another free one that you got, like therapy, the free therapy from.
You mean like the BetterHelp?
Yeah.
So that's not free. That you got to pay for that. But that's
okay.
Online therapy. But if it's an expense thing, just go to your local AA meeting, NA meeting, whatever your poison is, find that support group and go. There's people in that room that are going to have answers that you've been looking for a long time. Or at least they were for me whenever I went to my first AA meeting. I realized a very short span of time, just walking through the front door before the meeting even started, I'm where I need to be, because this room is full of alcoholics. I thought I was the only one. And I was, sadly mistaken as soon as I walked in that room. But it was at the same time a sense of comfort. Knowing I'm around other people that suffer from similar
So you were not alone.
Yeah, but I thought I was all along. But that's just me being in my closed-minded, narcissistic, alcoholic spiral. You just focus more and more on yourself, and you don't pay attention to anything else going on in your peripherals. So yeah, that's what I would suggest. But also, I'm here to help. If you got questions or want to talk, like can't tell you how many people since I've come out and kind of just been outspoken on what I've been through and what I've done to get better. How many people that don't know me just reach out and cold calls, Facebook, emails, whatever it might be. I'm here to help whoever I can help, so as long as you're willing and able and wanting to get better, I can help you at least get your first step taken in the right direction.
When during the moment or right after we lost my dad, I thought I was alone. I was like, nobody's thinking these thoughts, and I was like, wait a minute, this has happened to quite a bit of people. But you go through the whole services, and nobody really knows what to say. But I was like, I got not tired, but at that moment you just hear the same thing over and over. So there's got to be something else. So I went and asked for help from therapists. I never knew how much they cost, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
And I was like, just do what you got to do for an hour. I just lost my dad, my parent. This was never supposed to happen. What do I do now?
Yeah.
That guided me. They have they're professionals. They're professionals. So that guided me through, hey, you're not alone. And then I continued to reach out to other people, and then just figured out that I just how to proceed or how to recover from that trauma or how to, what is it called when they deal with when you deal with like
grief?
A loss, grief.
Yeah.
How to grieve.
The stages of grief.
Yeah, and when one of my coaches was just honor their life with the person you continue to become. So ever since then, it's like, okay, I got to become better to keep making him proud and honor his life. My dad did have he's got a pretty cool legacy.
Yeah.
He affected a lot of people. But I thought I was alone, and until I asked for help. And kind of this is our call for help weekly.
Yeah.
Like, Matt, where you at this week? Where you at? And last week we were both suffering through the same thing.
Yeah.
Suffering, thinking about it. But I didn't really, it was in my head, but until you opened up about it, I was like, okay, I can open up about it.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too. It took me a long time to figure out what exactly I wanted to say. It's just I had all these thoughts and feelings, and I needed an opportunity to think about them and contemplate them and really figure out what I mean, with what I got feeling on the inside. So hopefully last week we did a good job of getting that message out. I will say just one thing, just circling back to what we were. When it comes to, asking for help, whether that be therapy or counseling or, an AA meeting or rehab,
just a conversation,
whatever it might be. One common mistake a lot of people make, and I know it's one of those things that's where I would lean to, or that's what I would lean to in the past, is trying to, if I'm an alcoholic that's struggling and still suffering, and I'm looking for help and I'm desperate, I might start by just asking immediate family, mom, dad, brother, sister, something like that. And that's okay as the right step, but a lot of issues come from trying to have people that are emotionally tied to you assisting you in something like this, because you almost need somebody that's not partisan, an outsider that's not related emotionally to the situation. Because there's bias, whether you want to believe it or not, you're going to be biased to your kids all the time compared to a stranger, where you can be more honest and objective with what they need to be doing or what they're doing right, what they're doing, what they need to do differently. So if you are out there looking for help, it's very helpful if you need, again, therapy, counseling, AA, rehab, whatever it might be, is if it's something that you need to have help on, you need to really make sure you have somebody that's not partisan or favorable towards yourself, because you get into the moms and the family members, they turn into enablers because they don't like seeing their kids suffer. But sometimes, like in my instance, that's what needed to happen. I needed to be, either cut off from everybody and just hit rock bottom on my own, or lucky for me, whenever I got my last DWI, I hit rock bottom. That was my bottom. So once I got out of jail, I was ready to start making strides in the right direction. But you got to get professional help or people that aren't going to be, biased to you one way or the other. Because
accountability is a lot. When there's no attached, it's just about accountability and moving forward.
You're not afraid of hurting their feelings because you don't have an emotional connection with that person. You didn't bring them into this world, or, whatever it might be. Marry the person or whoever the situation is you're dealing with.
And switching to professional and business life, I didn't hire any local coaches, during the beginning. I knew I had to be someone from in a bigger city because they're going to help me think differently. And they still just tell it to me straight, man. I'm like, I knew it. I didn't want to hear it, but you're
Call
right.
you on your BS,
That's
what you need.
A smack across the face.
That's what you need.
Other thoughts that you think that some people might think they're alone and they're the only ones thinking about?
If you find yourself and you're checking a lot of boxes and some of the things I list off here, it's probably a good indicator that you've got some things you need to work on, and that's not a knock on you or anybody else that you might know that's going through similar things. It's just none of us are perfect. We've all got our issues we got to get better at. Some people it's substance abuse. Some people it's how to not spend too much money. Some people it's, just how to be a better dad or a better parent. Or maybe it's just being better at school, devoting yourself and dedicating yourself to spending the time to study and get the things you need to get accomplished. But some of those things, if you're spending a lot of time by yourself and kind of going into that secluded lifestyle, that's kind of where I was towards the end of my drinking career, was just a lot of isolation. When I first began drinking and all that stuff, like I was, never by myself. I was always with people or at parties or social functions, stuff like that. But towards the end, I'd find myself drinking alone, drinking at home, which I kind of always had a rule. I never had alcohol in the house, just because I didn't see a point in it. And then I got to a point where I did see a point in it. And then that's all I wanted to really do was get home and just drink by myself. So not just that, but just constant repetition of just negative self-talk, whether that be, the alcohol talking or taking over and kind of reassuring you how big of a piece of shit you are or you're no good or anything like that. Those are the things that were just on repeat in my head all the time. That noise got louder and louder the more and deeper I got into drinking. So not just that, but probably the other big thing I noticed too, and this is more of a hindsight thing that I look back on it, just in the 6-7 years since I've been sober, is my outlook on the world was just shitty. Like, it was negative. Like, I'd see you, like, for instance, and this isn't a real story, but just as an example, like, if I was working, I don't know, say up at J. Finney's back in the day, and I'd see you and Stacy come in for a couple cocktails, maybe an appetizer before going to, I don't know, some function or something else. I would see how happy you guys were, smiling, having a good time, and I would, on the inside, be resentful as hell. Because that's what I was looking for, any kind of joy or happiness, and I could only see it in other people. And it would just kind of have a negative tick inside of me. And it wouldn't radiate from the outside, but just internally I would be just kind of gritting my teeth and just
demons just doing their job in there.
Everything they've ever wanted they got, probably just handed to them. Never had any shit that makes no sense. But that's just the constant, just how I got the further and further and the more miserable I got with my life. I was just resentful of other people's lives that weren't like mine, So if you find yourself going through some of those things or having those thoughts or checking some of those boxes I just listed off, probably an indicator that you need to really step back and kind of address some deeper issues you got to work on.
And now you see me and Stacy and we're just like, we're tired, man.
No, I'm actually.
We were happy back in the day.
The inside and the outside to see you guys. You know what I mean? It's not.
Now we're just worn out.
It's not a two-faced persona of me internally thinking these. On the outside, guys, it is so good to see you. You guys look great.
You took wonderful care of us. Thank you.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, that wasn't a real story, but just as an example, like that's the kind of shit I'd be thinking about whenever good people would come in that, it just
and I think this is just too that we all need to help. Back to the Not So Perfect podcast.
That's the core of
we
why
all need
this.
help. We're all stressed out. We're all getting fake stuff thrown at us.
Yeah.
Every second of the day.
Yeah, and if it's not war, it's it's Mexico, and if it's not Mexico, it's the
aliens, and if it's not aliens,
it's not aliens. It's the Olympics and the gold medals for the United States men and women's teams, and there's just so much distractions that are going on out there, and it's scary. A lot of unknowns.
Mm-hmm. Well, another reason I was watching another podcast, and it goes down to. Obviously, we've lost some friends to suicide, and then the podcast I was watching, it said, no me, no problem, or no you, no problem. Like, I guess that's the last thought that you end up having before that happens. Like, oh, everybody will be better without me. I'm sure you were there. Did you ever have those thoughts? Like, oh, no me, no problem.
I was getting there, yeah. I mean, I wasn't planning anything, so to speak, but like I said in the past podcast, like I didn't care if I was here or not. Like I was just kind of present, not benefiting or, definitely not benefiting my life. I was just floating around.
Mm-hmm. No, it's scary. It's scary. But you weren't alone. There's other guys.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a long time to swallow my pride and understand that, but it took a long time, and it just took repetitiveness of just falling down, picking myself up, falling down, picking myself up to the point where either I couldn't go on anymore or I needed to make some significant changes in my life, and that started with just asking God for help, and got the answer right away while I was in jail of all places. So again, like I was telling Katie yesterday in the interviews, like there are so many God moments that have happened to me from that moment to where we're at today that don't explain, that it would take way too long to explain where I'm at today, why I'm here, all the things where it's like, okay, So, but yeah, you came up in the podcast or in the interview yesterday as well in terms of like how I was getting myself back on my feet after I got sober and got to talk about this, not just that, but how I got to kind of being where I'm at today. So you were a big part of that conversation. And it started with just getting out of jail and then having that sit down with my parents at their kitchen table and then going to Boonville the next day for rehab and then getting out of rehab and then getting the lawyer stuff squared away with what was going to happen next. Then it was going to Madison's Cafe asking Rob if I could have my job back, which I got back. Then it went to just grinding and picking up as many hours as I could just to occupy my now free brain, I guess I would say. And then going from that, then I was getting a phone call from Gerardo out of the blue. Like it was kind of internally in my gut, something I knew I needed to do. I just knew I didn't have the money for a big space and a big, I didn't have a lot of finances to, throw down a down payment on a new space. So I was doing a lot of my personal training out of my basement, which was fine to an extent. A lot of the people I was starting with were close friends, so I'm not worried about them knowing where I live. But then it started kind of growing and growing and it just got to the point where I didn't want this many people that I didn't know knowing where I live, knowing, just having that not invasion of privacy, but kind of an invasion of privacy. So I knew I needed to find something else, and just out of the blue I get a cold call from Gerardo, and I'm pretty sure it was a voicemail, but said, hey, I got a space. I'm thinking about you if you're still got the gym or wanting to get the gym going again. And I was like, man, I listened to the voice and I was like, well, it'd be great, but it's going to be a very limited amount of money I can afford on a monthly basis, at least until I get things up and running, And the price was perfect. Couldn't have been $1 more.
His rent has quadrupled since then.
Yeah. He's definitely, inflation's really kicked in. But again, just all these little aha moments.
That's a sign of God, because that timing. I had no idea about your events.
I listened to your voicemail. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, there's no way. And I called you back and we talked and you showed me the space. I'm like, dude, this is exactly what I've been imagining. Like, yeah. So anyways, a lot of moments like that just I can't explain. I don't need to understand it. I just know that someone's looking out for me and that person's God. And I am just grateful every day that I've got another chance to live life to the fullest, because I just spent a lot of years not, so I always joke with Judge Walker, hoping to do a lot better on the next 35 years than I did on the first 35 years in terms of just kind of living life to the fullest. And that means just being a good person, doing the next right thing, and just putting others ahead of yourself. That's a big thing.
I got a quote that goes right along. I saw it last week, and it was a John Wooden quote, UCLA, legendary coaches. Make every day your masterpiece. That's all I had to hear. Make every day your masterpiece. That's as simple as that. Go out and, of course, everybody's masterpiece might be different.
That's good. That's what separates us. That's why we're not robots and lemmings. We've got our own unique personalities. We've got our own You know, if we're all granted a canvas every morning we wake up, everybody's canvas is going to look different. And that's what makes it awesome. You know, what
Just
makes
don't make it black. Not that it's not beautiful. Just go color it. Go help. Go smile. I was on 2 coaching calls yesterday, and people pay thousands in my industry, real estate industry, thousands. They pay hundreds of thousands for coaching when all they're saying is like, just be yourself, be honest, and go help somebody.
Yeah, don't be fake.
Every day.
Be honest.
Yeah, if you don't know about this house, don't lie about it.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to fix that, then don't pretend like you know how to fix that. Just say, I don't know, but I do know a professional. I don't know, but I do have the support to get this answer. And that's what makes I really have no secret or golden ticket to my business, is just go help people and be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like regardless of what industry you're in or what sport you're in or whatever it might be, like it's not complicated. Like it's just everybody wants an easy button, or they want the magic pill, or they want the easy shot, whatever it might be. But you know, a lot of it's just putting in the time, putting in the effort. You know, we were looking for just quick and easy fixes, and you know, your life isn't quick and easy. So why are we approaching, you know, fixing it the same way? Similar to how I treat with, you know, new clients come in here and they want to lose 100 pounds, you know. How soon can I expect this? How soon can I expect this?
What's the magic pill, man?
You can't touch your toes. Like we're going to be starting real basic, like, so it's going to take a while, you know, but you didn't put this on overnight. It's not going to come off overnight, you know. You're only seeing me, you know, for example, 2 or 3 times a week. Like, you have homework to do. Like, I've only got 3 hours with you a week. That's a lot of other time throughout the week. You got to be accountable and, you know, holding yourself to a high standard, you know. And the more effort you put in, like, I can show you all the things, but if you don't do any of them, it's not going to help your progress. So yeah, a lot of it just depends on how motivated the person is or how willing they are to make changes.
And you're not alone thinking about weight loss. I mean, I think that's something we all think about and struggle with.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not weight loss, maybe it's putting on size, you know. You know, Jim that has been working out with us, or working out with me for a while now. He was talking to me, what did I say, Thursday. I saw him yesterday training, and he's like, man, I noticed I got a little bit of loose skin on the inside of my legs, you know. I need to tighten that up and this and that. I said, well, Jim, the good news is like, we're almost on the verge of that garage door being open all the time.
Yeah.
Continuous nice weather. I was like, and when that happens, we go to getting a little bit heavier on the weights and start putting on a little bit more size, or focus on putting on a little bit more strength. So he was happy to hear that. But again, everybody's got their own challenge. You know, it might be someone that's a little bit smaller that is trying to get a little bit bigger, or someone that's a little bit bigger trying to get a little bit smaller. You know, so we're all battling with something, whether it be the exact same or, you know, just similar in the fitness industry, or, you know, work or whatever it might be. I'm
battling with eating and diet and sugar.
Yeah.
Because it was just so easy to just get sugar, and I'll start another diet next week. Diet starts Monday, right?
Oh, yeah.
You heard that. Diet starts Monday. But it's something that now me and Stacy are tackling together. Food and diet. And it's, I heard a quote yesterday is, your kids don't buy the groceries. You know, so don't make your refrigerator look like a vending machine.
Right.
Your pantry look like a vending machine. They're not buying these groceries. You're the ones buying the groceries. And we're going through the teenager fight that my wife and her mom went through, you know, like, just eat healthy foods. Like, no, I just want nachos and cheese.
Nachos and cheese.
Or chips and cheese, and watching them battle. But it's a battle.
Yeah.
It's a battle, but they see at least how we eat, how we define. And my little one's like, Dad, are you going to be a grandpa? I was like, hopefully not anytime soon.
Yeah.
And then she'll go like, I don't want you to have gray hairs. I was like, well, I can't stop those.
Dad doesn't have much say over that.
That doesn't mean I'm a grandpa. It keeps going.
Yeah, but what you were saying though, is terms of like, the kids aren't buying the groceries. You guys as the parents are, you know. So again, that goes back to, you know, as a parent, you're a parent. You're not a best friend. You're not, you know, their main squeeze. You're not their, you know, you got to be, you know, disciplinarian, but also you know, you love them, but you got to teach them the hard stuff, you know. And as kids, they don't understand why they can't eat Skittles for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you know. But those are hard lessons that, as parents, that's what you kind of undertake when you decide to have kids and bring them into this world. So, yeah, I mean, the best example for those kids is going to be you and mom, because that's who they see probably the most. So if you guys are eating Skittles for breakfast and lunch and dinner, they're going to think that's fine too. But if you guys are eating clean and lean, you know, that's the example to set. And if they're not really exposed to a lot of the bad stuff on a regular basis, the thought isn't going to be creeping in all the time, you know. So something to think about. But also, like, if you're going to do, you know, a meal where you guys can go out and have a bowl of pasta or desserts, whatnot, you know, it's good. It's because the kids got good grades, or it's because mom had a huge, did a great job at the High Rocks. Gerardo and mom did a great job at the High Rocks. Let's go out and celebrate, you know. Well, you're not celebrating every single day, but you're doing it once a month, once every birthday or whatever, you know, and you use those as your small window to indulge in those other things.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I look, or that's how I approach, you know, cheat meals and stuff like that. I don't go out to eat a lot, so we go out to eat for my family's birthdays, mom, dad, me, my brother, my sister-in-law, my 2 nephews. So there's 7 opportunities throughout the year. Now we might throw a couple of those together just because they're pretty similar dates. You know, so let's just call it 5 times a year we're going out to eat, you know, we're all have fun, you know.
I know families that eat out 5 times a week.
Well, that's my point. Like if that's what you're
you're saying you just go out to eat 5 times,
you're raising your
7
kids,
times.
That's what they're learning.
Yeah.
They're learning that that's what you do for food. You go out to McDonald's, you go out to Burger King, you go out to, you know, wherever. And, you know, that's the example you got to try and set. And it's not any easier for the parents as it is for the kids, but hopefully as adults and parents, you got self-discipline and willpower to, you know what you're doing is going to be beneficial for that next generation.
And you are not alone either in those communities. Surround yourself with those communities, like sharing recipes with moms and families that eat real food at home and have that healthier lifestyle. At least that's the only body we get.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the scary part.
That's what I like about Joe Rogan. He always calls it this. You only get one meat vehicle. You know, this is a meat vehicle from now until the day you die. So
worship it.
Why are you not going to take care of it? You know, you'll spend 3 hours wiping your brand new $80,000 truck down with a diaper for 3 hours at the car wash, but yet you're not willing to go for a 30-minute walk on your lunch break to clear your head and, you know, maybe shed some unwanted calories or some unwanted weight. So, you know, it's a decision you got to make. And every day I wake up, I ask God for help and pointing me in the right direction and helping me do whatever kind of work He needs me to do for the day. But that's how I start the day and end the day. Thank you for another day, and thank you for keeping me sober.
Make it a masterpiece.
Yep. And again, I'm not alone, and I know that now, and I'm not scared of it anymore, and I'm not afraid to ask for help anymore. And all these things were things that I was terrified of, you know, over 6 years ago. So it just takes repetition and practice, guys. It's not sexy, it's not pretty, it's not oohs and ahs, but it's just showing up and being consistent for yourself and for those you care about, you know. And by doing that, you're not alone.
I got to speak to that with your interview yesterday. Matt is just consistent. Like, you want abs like Matt. You've seen the abs, you've seen the cover, but he's the first one in the office. He's the first one in the building and the last one in the building.
Yep, I know.
And the way you eat, I've seen him cheat, like have one piece of chocolate here during Christmas time. Maybe on the holidays you just have one.
It was after the 75 hard. Let's be clear. It was after 75 hard.
But it is. That's what it takes. I'm impressed with your consistency.
Yeah.
You know, and you know what it takes. Or just where you want to be, like.
Yeah, I'm exactly where I want to be.
Where you want to be at.
I enjoy the fact that I've got this whole building to myself from about 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. every day. You know, I know I've got that, and I know I can make sure everybody before they get here, we got the coffee pot on and the water refilled, and you know, just trying to get the day set. But yeah, I mean, that's just what gets me going, and that's what gets me excited. And I love what I do every day. So, you know, outside of waking up at 4 in the morning, I get pretty excited about coming into work. So that's what I knew I needed to do, but I just didn't have the courage to do it over 6.5, 7 years ago. And then the phone call came in, the magical phone call from Gerardo, and here we are. So, yeah.
And I think you were still on my phone. Your number was still on my phone, and I hadn't talked to you. I don't think we've ever talked on the phone before that.
Not before that. I'd see you out. We might text or something, but yeah, nothing. I'm like, oh, this must be a butt dial or something.
Now we're a daily conversation,
absolutely.
and I appreciate
Wouldn't change it for anything.
But that's that's what I got for
good
today.
about it.
Yeah, the please ask for help. You are not alone. Be careful who you ask for help from. There's so many options out there, and get a good group. Do what you want.
Yeah.
For reals, do what you want. You really don't want to be down there thinking you're alone and the world's better without you. That's not the case.
It's not true. Not true. But yeah, ask for help, guys. You know, and as a guy, I know that's a hard thing to do, but it was one of the moment I asked for help while I was in jail, asking God for help, it was an instantaneous feeling of just all that fear and anxiety and, you know, just all the things that have been holding me back all this time just evaporated, you know, and that's the best way I can explain it. It was, felt like I was touched by God. So interpret that however you want. But from that moment on, that was Father's Day 2019. I got to call my dad as I was getting booked to go into jail, that I was being arrested on my 4th DWI. 365 days later, I was up at Boonville at Valley Hope getting my 1-year coin of sobriety. So not saying it was easy, but that moment catapulted me into where I'm at today. And if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't be here. Pretty certain of that.
And now you honor every day to that moment.
Yeah. Yep. Life's short. Life's short. We got to enjoy it.
Thank you for watching the Not So Perfect podcast. And shout out to Missouri Mental Health Foundation and our champion, Matt Chinn. Wonderful work, brother.
Till next week, guys. Have a good one.
Adios.
Peace.